Welcome to JTV. I am Julie Murugi, welcoming our viewers in Kenya and around the world. This program takes a global and exclusive look at evocative issues affecting public attitudes in education and arts and culture. On to our headlines. Donald Trump meets King Jong-un. UK business leaders urged to run schools. And finally, we take a focus on e-education. Donald Trump meets King Jong-un. President Donald Trump and North Korea's Kim Jong-un adopted an upbeat tone as they opened a new chapter in their tense courtship, with both leaders broadly agreeing at a historical Singapore summit to pursue a path towards more peaceful relations. Both leaders signed a joint statement that experts characterized as aspirational and hopeful. UK business leaders were urged to run schools. This is because schools need help from leading businesses to offset skills shortages on their governing bodies, according to Education Secretary Damien Hines. On to today's main stories, we cover education and the involvement of e-learning into Kenyan education systems. According to Christian Institute Director of Education, Julian Filian Fisher, the study showed that teachers are looking for better ways of incorporating content with e-learning resources. This is making meaningful use of blended learning, especially for core subjects. Before we take a break, we were asking, do you think e-learning should be incorporated into our education systems? Join us on our conversation on Twitter, starting with the hashtag #education. Stay tuned. As you keep watching JTV, our social media question of the day is, do you think e-learning should be incorporated into our Kenyan media systems? The first social media comment of the day comes from @Mackenzie Nemo, who says, education does not give me skills, the internet does. With more on the story is our correspondent Isabella Mongina.
If you haven't heard the claim that blended learning is the present and future of education, then you haven't been listening. It is one of the central features of modern school reform, with proponents proclaiming that it helps personalize education, reduce costs, and allow students to be more productive. Sounds great, doesn't it? But is it really? To continue this conversation, we speak to two university students.
I believe it works to a certain length. It actually does give enough information for someone to utilize maybe in the field if they decide to actually go and exploit various other ventures. But maybe in a lot of other nitty-gritties I focuses on, it may not be that important, and in that aspect it might not be perfect, but no system in general is perfect. But ideally, if you're also trying to do your own thing, if you focus on the education system, too much may not be a good thing, but if you just acquire the skills or the knowledge you require, that can be ideal in the long run.
It gives you an ability to look at things in a wider level, because education builds the brain to make sure that a lot of things are happening. So when you get to do something, it's your own creativity, then that means you'll do it to the best of your level, because you've inculcated your education and your creativity. That brings awesome results.
Thank you, Isabella Mongina. As we look on to our second comment of the day, Eric Wanjao on Facebook says, education is everywhere. Both the internet and school matter. With us today are Eli Munyasia, Ephraim Kwemu, and Dr. Beatrice Mbogo. Firstly, we conversed with a master's student by the name Mr. Munyasia. So, what do you think about blended education? Does it kill creativity, so to speak?
Personally, I don't believe in school education because I feel like the Kenyan education curriculum, it kills my creativity. most of the learning I do, I get from the internet, YouTube, and it helps me a lot. I feel much more creative and comfortable learning from the internet than being in class.
Also with us is Mr. Kwemo. And sir, what is your general opinion on blended education?
Yes, I do believe in the curriculum that is offered by institutions of learning, especially institutions of higher learning, which prepare people for the workplace. But having said that, I also believe in the training that is done outside the formal schooling structures, and we have seen that there are a number of people who are not strictly trained within the curriculum that is given within institutions of learning, but through skills and techniques that they learn at the workplace, they emerge to become more successful than people who have strictly been trained on different areas at the school level, strictly speaking. So my proposition is that people should be trained on both the curriculum that is offered by institutions, and especially institutions of higher learning, but they should also complement that with the skills set that comes from the industry, depending on whatever industry you are in.
And finally, we speak to an educationalist, Dr. Beatrice Mbogo.
No, I don't think so. Yes. I actually think education improves your creativity because it gives you options on ways you can think about different things. It's not just one way of doing it. And with education, there are time-tested and proven ideas or theories that guide you. So, number one, education will bring you to the same level with other people's thinking, such that you're thinking the same, but each person is still an individual. Your creativity has not been killed. It's just that you use your creativity from a more educated point of view. That's what I think.
Thank you for all that meaningful conversation. Now we move on to another social media comment. Thank you for continuing the conversation on our Twitter handle, starting with the hashtag #eEducation. At Peter Shege says, I agree fully. No education is completely reliant on just school. The internet also educates. The establishment of public education was as a result of enlightenment. Now, whether it is acquired through internet or school curriculum, what is clear is that it is to be used to reduce human suffering. Thank you for staying with us. This brings us to the final part of the show. Continue the conversation on our Twitter and Facebook pages of education. I am Julie Murugi. Thank you for watching.